Just want to make a follow-up video on that chassis swap that I did. I removed my brass chassis because it was tweaked, it was bent, and replaced it with the Gen 2 steel chassis. This is on my standard RX28 chassis with PN 3500 motor. On Wednesday, today is Saturday, on Wednesday, the car, this 3500 car with the brass chassis, can only do 10 flat fast lap. I changed the tires, put brand new batteries, and I couldn't break into the 9.9 second. I just couldn't, because one of the turns, the left turn, the car, I couldn't put power on the car. Unlike my mod car, I can put power down, making a left or a right turn. It didn't matter. This one, I can put a power down, making a right turn, but not left turn. After that 2-hour chasing that 9 second, I came home and checked the car and noticed that it was something was off, which was the chassis was tweaked. After I swapped the chassis, I noticed that they both have the same weight, 1 gram off. This is 129 grams and the steel chassis is 130 grams. But the difference is this weight right here is 6 grams, and the weight here, the Reflex Racing weight, the plate, is also 6 grams, but it's in the front. The 6 grams on the brass chassis is in the back where the battery where the battery tray is. Driving the car with the brass chassis and that weight there, it's very neutral. It's easy to drive. I almost don't ever have to check this car for tweak or tire wear and ride height. I just drive it and just keep driving it with that chassis. After the swap though, I was using the exact same setup, including the tires. And the first 24 laps, I couldn't get the car to corner. The back end felt like all the radials were glued. It was just sliding everywhere. It felt like I had way too much bite in the front, but I was running the exact same setup, same tires, same ride height, same motor, same gearing when I had the brass chassis, but it wouldn't work. What I noticed was there's so much weight in the front of the steel car, and this car doesn't roll. It doesn't have any body roll. It just turns. It drives flat. And it's good if there's a lot of traction, right? I actually didn't like how that felt, and I couldn't put the power down. So I needed to put more rear traction in the back of the car and less traction in the front. So I went ahead and changed my front tires from PN mediums, which is now in my mod car, to a PN firm. I put the PN firms here, and then I put a brand new Marka 15 radials in the back. Yeah, and then the car, it took a little bit, maybe another 10 laps. Then I finally figured out how to drive the car. Before I forget, I also raised the car up higher than I normally would. The front is now 2 millimeter and the back is like 1.8, 1.9. I just want the car to have more roll. And by doing that, changing the rear tires for traction, more traction, and the front tire for less traction, and raise up the car so that it rolls a little bit, I was able to right away in 10 laps, I was able to break my 10 flat with a 9.87 fast lap right away, and honestly, I wasn't even trying to go for a fast lap. I was still getting used to the car. After dropping this fast lap, I started hitting the 10 flats and 9 nines. But you know, again, I had brand new tires, and I had used tires in the front, but less traction. And the car was more stable. And having the corner speed, I was getting it because the car was raised. Now it's rolling. It gets to roll side to side. That's where I was getting the corner speed from. And now the car it can hit like 9 nines now with the setup. It's good. So yes, the steel is definitely better than the brass. It's because of the weight that's shifted forward, and also it's more precise. The steering is more precise. You just need to figure out the right tire combination. And for my driving style, I like the car to roll as opposed to just lock-to-lock steering. I like the car to roll into the corners. For my driving style, if you like the kind of, you know, where you square the turns, you know, it all depends on your setup, right? But my setup is I like to round off the corners by having the car to roll a little bit, and this car now is doing it. I think when I had the brass before and I couldn't crack into the 9-second was because one, it was tweaked. Second, it was too neutral because of the weight here in the back, right? I think that's what was happening. And also somehow the steel just has more steering. It was pretty significant. It was night and day difference between when I just swapped the chassis with the same setup. The back end on this car felt like I had super glue. It was just sliding everywhere. It was crazy. Before I did the swap, this car was dialed, the brass. It wasn't doing any of that stuff. And even when I kept the original tires that were on this car, which was the PN mediums, and I put a brand new Marka 15s in the back, the Marka 15s didn't have that much traction. It was still sliding, and I had to back off the throttle every time I come out of the corner. So this is when I downgraded, or I went with the stiffer tire or firm tire in the front, just to make it push a little, because the medium just had too much bite, and I didn't need that much steering. So converting to the steel chassis, to this chassis, is actually really good, because now instead of running medium tires or soft tires, you can now go to a harder tire. In my case, a firm tire. All right, so, and also I think you will have less chance of the chassis bending, because I can't believe I bent this chassis. This chassis wasn't bent before, because every time I would check for tweak, I can easily fix it. It'll be off by 0.1, 0.2 millimeter. That's it. This time, when I checked it after Wednesday's session, it was off by 3 millimeters, not 0.3, but 3 millimeters in the, you know, when I was checking for tweak. Not the chassis itself off by 3 millimeters, but the tweak. And yeah, so I would definitely suggest or recommend the steel chassis for a 3500 motor and up. Anything slower, I'm still running my brass chassis in the 2500 class. Eventually, I'm gonna change it. It depends, because this car is it just works. Yeah, and even if I hit something, I don't think I'm gonna bend it, because the car is so slow. But yeah, definitely recommend the steel chassis. It was good last night. It was precise to drive and carry a lot more corner speed. Okay, that's it for the update.